In the autumn of 1900, beneath the azure waters of the Mediterranean Sea, a group of Greek sponge divers made a discovery that would challenge everything we thought we knew about ancient technology. What they pulled from the depths of a 2,000-year-old shipwreck appeared to be nothing more than a corroded lump of bronze and wood. Yet, hidden within this humble artifact lay one of the most sophisticated pieces of technology from the ancient world. A device so advanced that nothing like it would be seen again for over 1,000 years. This is the story of the Antikythera mechanism, often called the world's first computer. But more than that, it's a story about how sometimes the most extraordinary discoveries come from the most ordinary circumstances, and how the truth can remain hidden in plain sight for decades. Let's begin where all great discoveries do, with a moment of pure chance. The year was 1900, and Captain Dimitrios Kondos commanded a small fleet of sponge diving boats from the Greek island of Symi. These weren't recreational divers exploring for pleasure. They were hard-working men who risked their lives daily, diving to depths of up to 200 feet, using primitive equipment to harvest natural sponges from the seafloor. In October of that year, a violent storm forced Kondos and his crew to seek shelter near the small rocky island of Antikythera, located between Crete and the Greek mainland. The name itself means opposite Kythera, referencing the larger island nearby. It was a desolate place, inhabited by perhaps a few dozen people, known mainly to sailors as a navigation landmark. When the storm passed, rather than immediately continuing their journey, Kondos decided to send one of his divers down to see if the waters around Antikythera held any sponges worth harvesting. The diver who descended was Elias Stadiatis, an experienced man who had made countless dives before. What Stadiatis found at a depth of about 150 feet was unlike anything he had ever seen. When he surfaced, according to the accounts recorded later, he was nearly incoherent, speaking frantically about an underwater garden filled with horses, men and women, all made of stone. Captain Kondos, perhaps thinking his diver had succumbed to nitrogen narcosis, decided to investigate himself. What he discovered was not a mythical underwater garden, but something equally remarkable: the remains of an ancient shipwreck, its cargo of bronze and marble statues scattered across the seafloor. The statues were magnificent, life-sized figures of gods, athletes, and nobles, crafted with a skill that had made Greek sculptors legendary throughout the ancient world. Bronze horses reared in eternal gallop, their forms still graceful despite 2 millennia beneath the waves. Here was a treasure beyond the imagination of simple sponge divers. Kondos faced a choice. He could continue his profitable sponge diving expedition, or he could spend precious time and resources attempting to salvage these ancient artifacts. The decision he made would prove to be one of the most significant in archaeological history. The captain chose to attempt the salvage, but recognising that this discovery was beyond his expertise, he first sailed to Athens to notify the Greek government. The timing was fortuitous. Greece was experiencing a surge of national pride in its ancient heritage, and the government was eager to reclaim artifacts of its glorious past. The Greek authorities commissioned Kondos and his crew to return to the wreck site and conduct a systematic salvage operation. What followed was one of the first underwater archaeological excavations in history, though the methods were primitive by today's standards. The salvage operation that began in November 1900 was extraordinarily dangerous. Using heavy diving suits and primitive air pumps, the divers worked in shifts, each man spending only a few minutes at the crushing depth before being hauled back to the surface. The risks were enormous. One diver was paralysed by decompression sickness. Another died from the same condition. Yet they persevered, driven by the knowledge that they were recovering treasures of immeasurable historical value. Over the course of several months, they brought up statue after statue, the famous bronze youth raising his arm, marble figures of philosophers and athletes, ornate jewellery, pottery, and coins. Each artefact told a story of incredible wealth and sophistication, suggesting this had been a ship carrying treasures fit for the most powerful people in the ancient world. Among all these magnificent sculptures and precious objects, one item received little attention. It was a corroded mass of bronze and wood, roughly the size of a shoebox, encrusted with marine growth and apparently broken into several pieces. To the untrained eye, it looked like nothing more than debris, perhaps the remains of some mundane ship fitting or cargo container. This unassuming object was catalogued and stored with the other finds at the National Archaeological Museum in Athens. For months, it sat largely ignored while scholars focused their attention on the more obviously spectacular discoveries. The beautiful statues that were already being hailed as masterpieces of ancient art. It was archaeologist Valerios Stais who first noticed something unusual about the corroded lump. In 30 May 1902, while examining artifacts from the shipwreck, he observed what appeared to be a bronze gear wheel embedded in the rock-like concretion. This was puzzling. Gear wheels were not supposed to exist in ancient Greek technology, at least not with this level of sophistication. Staes' initial examination revealed even more intriguing details. There appeared to be inscriptions in ancient Greek, and what looked like the remains of a complex mechanical system. He theorized that this might be some kind of astronomical device, perhaps used for navigation or calendar calculations. His announcement of the discovery was met with skepticism from the archaeological community. Many scholars found it difficult to accept that ancient Greeks possessed the technological capability to create such complex mechanical devices. The prevailing view was that this level of precision engineering didn't emerge until the Renaissance. For the next several decades, the Antikythera mechanism remained one of archaeology's greatest puzzles. Various theories were proposed. Some suggested it was a medieval astrolabe that had somehow contaminated the ancient site. Others thought it might be a primitive navigation instrument. The problem was that the mechanism was too corroded and fragmented to allow for detailed study using the techniques available in the early 20th century. X-ray technology existed, but the early machines lacked the resolution needed to peer through the dense corrosion and reveal the intricate mechanical details within. So the mechanism waited, holding its secrets, while the world of archaeology slowly developed the tools necessary to unlock its mysteries. The breakthrough came in 1951, when physicist Derek de Solla Price began a systematic study of the mechanism using advanced X-ray equipment. Price, who worked at Cambridge University, brought a physicist's eye to what had been primarily an archaeological puzzle. His X-ray images revealed something extraordinary. The mechanism contained at least 30 precisely cut bronze gear wheels, arranged in a complex system that was far more sophisticated than anything previously known from the ancient world. This wasn't just a simple calculating device, it was a precision instrument of remarkable complexity. Price spent over 2 decades studying the mechanism, publishing his findings in 1974 in a groundbreaking paper titled Gears from the Greeks. His work revealed that the device was indeed an ancient Greek invention, probably dating to around 150 BCE, and that it was designed to calculate and predict astronomical events with remarkable accuracy. As Price's research progressed, the true nature of the mechanism became clear. This was an analog computer designed to model the movements of the sun, moon, and planets as they were understood by ancient Greek astronomers. By turning a bronze crank, an operator could advance the mechanism through time, watching as bronze pointers moved across graduated scales to show the positions of celestial bodies months or even years in the future. The level of sophistication was breathtaking. The mechanism could predict solar and lunar eclipses, track the 4-year cycle of the Olympic Games, and even account for the elliptical orbit of the moon, an astronomical phenomenon that wasn't fully understood by modern science until the work of Johannes Kepler in the 17th century. The gear ratios were calculated with extraordinary precision. The main gear system used a ratio of 254 to 19 to model the relationship between the solar year and the lunar month, a calculation that is accurate to within hours over a 19-year period. In 2005, a new phase of research began when an international team of scientists gained access to advanced imaging technology. Using high-resolution computed tomography CT scans, they were able to create detailed 3-dimensional models of the mechanism's internal structure without damaging the fragile artifact. These scans revealed even more gears than Price had discovered, over 70 bronze components in total, arranged in a mechanical system of stunning complexity. New inscriptions came to light, including what appeared to be an instruction manual written in ancient Greek, describing how to operate the device and interpret its readings. The team also discovered that the mechanism could track the movements of all 5 planets known to the ancient Greeks: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. This required incredibly sophisticated gear trains that could model the complex, non-uniform motions of these celestial bodies as they appeared to move against the background of stars. A window into lost knowledge. The Antikythera mechanism forced historians to completely reassess their understanding of ancient Greek technological capabilities. This wasn't just a one-off invention. The sophistication of its design suggested that it was part of a tradition of mechanical engineering that had been completely lost to history. The device represented a convergence of Greek theoretical astronomy, precision metalworking, and mechanical engineering that wouldn't be seen again until the elaborate clockwork of medieval Europe. Yet it was created at least 1,000 years before those European clocks, by craftsmen working with tools and techniques that we're only beginning to understand. Ancient sources began to make new sense in light of the mechanism's discovery. The Roman writer Cicero had described a device created by the Greek mathematician Archimedes that could show the movements of the sun, moon, and planets. Scholars had long assumed this was a poetic exaggeration, but the Antikythera mechanism proved that such devices were not only possible, but actually existed. Research into the shipwreck itself revealed that this had been no ordinary vessel. The cargo suggested a ship carrying luxury goods and intellectual treasures to Rome, possibly as part of the systematic looting of Greek cultural artifacts by Roman conquerors in the 1st century BCE. The wine amphorae found on the wreck were traced to the Greek islands of Rhodes and Kos, while coins found at the site dated the wreck to approximately 70 to 60 BCE. This was during the period when Rome was consolidating its control over the Greek world, and wealthy Romans were developing an insatiable appetite for Greek art and learning. The mechanism may have belonged to a wealthy Roman patron of the sciences, or possibly to a Greek scholar relocating to Rome. Either way, its presence on the ship tells us that such devices were valued highly enough to be transported as precious cargo across the dangerous waters of the Mediterranean. One of the most intriguing questions raised by the mechanism is, who made it? The level of skill required to design and construct such a device would have been extraordinary, requiring expertise in theoretical astronomy, mechanical engineering, and precision metalworking. Recent research has suggested that the mechanism may have been created on the Greek island of Rhodes, which was known in antiquity as a centre of astronomical learning and mechanical innovation. The island was home to the Colossus of Rhodes, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, and its craftsmen were renowned throughout the Mediterranean for their technical skills. The inscriptions on the mechanism are written in a dialect of ancient Greek that matches the linguistic patterns of Rhodes and the surrounding region. This, combined with the astronomical data encoded in the device, suggests that it was created by a workshop that specialised in such instruments, implying that the Antikythera mechanism was not unique, but rather one example of a type of device that may have been relatively common among the educated elite of the Hellenistic world. Today, the Antikythera mechanism sits in the National Archaeological Museum in Athens, its bronze gears silent after 2 millennia. Yet in many ways, it continues to speak to us, challenging our assumptions about the past and reminding us that human ingenuity and curiosity are timeless. The story of its discovery, from the chance storm that drove sponge divers to shelter, to the decades of patient research that revealed its secrets, reminds us that the most extraordinary discoveries often begin with the most ordinary circumstances. Sometimes the greatest treasures are the ones that don't immediately appear to be treasures at all. The mechanism also serves as a humbling reminder of how much we don't know about the past. If such a sophisticated device could remain hidden for over a century after its discovery, what other marvels might be waiting in museum storage rooms, or still lying beneath the waves of the Mediterranean? In the end, the Antikythera mechanism is more than just an ancient computer. It's a bridge across time, connecting us to minds that were grappling with the same fundamental questions about the cosmos that continue to drive scientific inquiry today. In their bronze gears and calculated ratios, we find not just the mathematics of planetary motion, but the enduring human desire to understand our place in the universe. The mystery of Antikythera began with a storm and a chance discovery. In many ways, that mystery continues today, as each new revelation about this remarkable device opens up new questions about the world that created it,